Good evening, viewers. This is the second episode of The Conversation. My name is Ryder Gabathuse. This show is aired every Sunday at 8 p.m. In today's program, I have two guests, Rorisang Mogojwe, Gabzfm news editor, MISA Botswana chairperson, Thomas Nkhoma. Welcome to the studio. In today's episode, we are going to look at the role of the media in elections. And the first question is going to go to you, Nkhoma. What critical role does the media play in electoral processes? This could be pre, during, and post the elections.
Thank you very much. Let me say the media plays a very critical role in society in general. And it has that social responsibility of disseminating information throughout all these processes of the election. There are three periods in the election cycle, which is the pre-election period, the election period, and the post-election period. And during all these periods, the media must play a very critical role of disseminating information, informing the public about the candidates, informing the public about the electorate about the processes during the election, what happens during the election, informing the electorate about the policies or the manifestos of these political parties that will be taking part in the elections, and also covering political rallies, interviewing candidates, giving the public that information that it needs to vote as an informed electorate.
Good. Rory, from the broadcasting space, what's your view on this question?
Thank you very much for that, Ryder. Well, from the broadcasting space, I believe the media plays a critical role, especially in providing a platform for public debates and discussions. In broadcasting, you are able to then facilitate conversations with both the electorate and candidates. And candidates, that's where they have their opportunity to inform the nation on their visions, on their plans, and the electorate or the voter or the listener is then able to engage and scrutinize and just ask questions and engage with those candidates and essentially the people that they will be putting on that seat.
Okay, I'm going to throw the second question to you, Rory. Tell us about the importance of objective reporting during the national polls. Why is it so important?
It's very important because, first of all, you need to give the voter or the electorate an informed perspective. Like, you need to inform the voter on the electoral processes, on candidates, on basically the process itself, the democratic process. So they need to be informed on that. And it's also important to maintain credibility. As the media, we need to be credible. The public needs to trust us. On this platform, you are able to then trust that this is able to, take your conversation or take what you say as the public interest and take it to heart.
I know this one is very close to your heart, Toss. What's your view on it?
Yes, objectivity is very critical in the media. Like she said, Rory said, it gives us, as the media, that trust, that people can trust us, that what we put out there can be trusted. It also provides a fairness for both candidates and their political parties. Where there is no objectivity, people won't trust the media. They won't trust what is being reported on the media. So it's going to distort the electoral process itself because people will be people will be going to the polls uninformed because they don't trust what the media is saying or trust what the media is putting out there. So it's very critical that we report as media. We are very objective.
I'm going to throw this question, the third question to you again, Toss. Can you explain this oversight role that is played by the media generally and in the elections in particular?
Yes, the media is a watchdog. And by this, I mean that the media has a role of scrutinizing what society does, of holding power to account. And during elections, we play that role of monitoring the elections, monitoring all the processes that happen during the elections. And watching whether there is any irregularities or there are any misdemeanors during the elections. So when we play that role and we are watchdog, we watch what is happening around the elections, pre-election period, during the election itself, and post-elections, whether the counting is done properly, and the candidates are given fair play. The ground is level. They are given a fair level ground. So that is the critical role of being a watchdog as a media.
Ronnie, I throw the same question to you.
Okay, well, I think in terms of, on top of an informed voter, on top of giving the voter, the decision, the opportunity to make the decision, yes, on facts and not propaganda, the media also has that monitoring power to now say, okay, we are able to ensure that this process, which is the electoral process, is very transparent, and we're able to, maintain accountability, because we need to scrutinize the people that are in power as well. So on top of that, an informed voter, we also have that monitoring power, and we're also able to, expose corruption and ensure that there's trust and accountability between the public and, the leaders that are in power.
Before we take our break, I just want to appreciate this. In the process of playing that role, what have you come up with? Is there anything that you have picked during the process of elections that, during your reporting, that you could say, that you could share with my viewers?
Having monitoring power is a little bit difficult, because it's very difficult sometimes to get enough information for you to then play that role of monitoring. I mean, when you try to make somebody accountable, a leader who's accountable, make them accountable for something, sometimes it's quite difficult because we don't have enough information that is out there. So I think that's actually a challenge that I can put out there, to say it's not always easy. As the media, we try and play that oversight role, that that watchdog role, but we do try. It's just that sometimes the people that we work with is just not always easy.
Is there anything, Tos, during your days at Popa and Kukano that you can share with my viewers? I mean, that you picked, or that you particularly picked, as part of your watchdog role?
Yes, I can say that during my days as a journalist, we used to go to political rallies. During the election itself, we'll be working with the what do you call these presiding officers, and we would go around asking questions, interviewing people, and just generally observing what is happening. The most critical thing is to observe whether the processes are being followed, whether there is any infringement, whether the political parties are doing anything that is not allowed around the polling station. So those are the things that you look at, you observe, whether everyone that is coming to a polling station is observing the rules, is observing. It's very critical to understand the laws that govern the elections itself, so that when you monitor, you understand whether the laws are being applied fairly or there is a breach of these laws. Yes.
Thank you so much, my guests and you viewers. We are going to take a short water break, after which we will continue with the role of media in elections. Thank you.
Do you want to stay in touch with the up-to-the-minute breaking news, countrywide, regional and international coverage, as well as in-depth analysis from Botswana's most trusted media house? Then head over to www.megi.bw, where you can also enjoy access to premium articles, long reads, features, and exclusive opinions. Whether you're looking for updates on politics, health, education, business and the economy, or sports, and many more, we have you covered. Sign up on the website and choose a package suitable for you. We also have packages for organizations at affordable rates. Visit www.megi.bw and enjoy the finest journalism and news you need to know.
Welcome back, my viewers, to the conversation. This is the second segment of the show. I welcome you back, my guests. We are going to continue with our questions, and I hope you are ready for them. The first question would go to you, Nkhoma. And it goes like this: while social media platforms can provide a space for diverse voices, they also pose challenges related to the spread of disinformation and fake news. How has the social media changed or affected the ethical considerations for reporting news?
You know, when the social media started, we used to have what you call citizen journalists.
Yes.
Nowadays, they are called social media influencers. And we are now in the era of disinformation and misinformation. A lot of fake news is manufactured using AI, artificial intelligence. And this affects how, as media people, we work in the field, because people are able to manufacture certain stories or certain news about people. And for those who are not schooled in this field of media, they would think that the news that they read or they watch on social media is very true. And it's a very tricky situation in that using AI, people can manufacture what is face value is very authentic, but without any verification. So as media, we need to always fact check what is the social media is putting out there. It's very critical that as media, we do this. We know people who we can go to, our sources, people that we can rely on when we report
But
news.
AI has got its own positives as well.
Yes, it's got its own positives because it can help disseminate information in a very quick way, real-time news. So that's the positive of AI, because it can also help even those who write. It can also help for them to put certain information out there in a very authentic way, only if you use it in a positive way, but there are those who use it very negatively.
Mm-hmm. What's your experience, Rory, with this AI and social media sites?
Social media sites, they're both a blessing and a curse at the same time. It's not all good, it's not all bad. It's good because it allows for public discourse, and it's inclusive because there's a diverse range of voices that is included. But at the same time, these mushrooming misinformation, fake news are also a problem for us reporters and for the public as well, because now the public is not able to discern sometimes as to which is fact and which one is fiction or propaganda. So it's really a problem, but I believe that, according to my experience, I think our traditional media is still relevant. People are able to switch on the radio to check what I saw on social media, is it true, or they're able to read a newspaper to check for facts. The problem is just that we live in that society where everything is instant. But if they do have the time to read through and listen to the radio or read a newspaper, then I think it works best. It's not all good and it's not all bad.
Oh, okay. I just want to appreciate this. But you will pick it first, then toss will follow. Are there any safety concerns that media practitioners should particularly be worried of a line of duty during the elections?
Yes, definitely. I think there's safety concerns. Well, physical violence, number one, because media practitioners do experience.
Well, what is physical violence?
I mean, intimidation or being threatened, or even,
that you have lived it.
I have lived. I have experiences with being threatened or being intimidated because of what we have been reporting on. I know a lot of our listeners, they really want to be involved in the process, or they want to be in the know. So there are some people by Longore, when they feel like what we're reporting on is biased, then they attack, they intimidate you to say, hey, lona halite sepetal jideng di samalatinga media amalatinga orileng, you know. I'll give an example with what do you call this? It's not electoral reporting, but with the accident Delia, the 45 people who died in Limpopo, we were having a lot of threats about how the media in Botswana is not active enough to go to South Africa and report. We are relying on our South African media, and you know, we have challenges ourselves. So how do you threaten or intimidate us because we are not doing a certain thing because of our lack of resources, right? There's a lot that can be spoken
But
about.
have you been beaten during
No,
coverage of elections?
personally, I have not been beaten, but I know there's a situation where we have attended, you know, protests where now even law enforcement will just take your equipment and say, listen, why are you broadcasting this? I'm like, no, but I'm doing my job. And then they'll mtapamula phone, for example, you know, when you're trying to record, you know, those are the things that we do experience on the ground. So it's not just electoral reporting, it's just general reporting, especially in physically threatening environments. But
Thanks,
yeah.
Tos, I mean, what's your experience during the coverage of the elections? Have you ever been threatened, beaten?
Fortunately, I've never been threatened, but I've come across those incidents, especially during the 2019 elections, whereby Sunday Standard reporters were chased out of a political rally.
So where was that?
That was in, I think it was, what do you call this, G-West.
It was in Gaborone.
Yes, it was in Gaborone. They were chased out of a rally that you are not welcome here. That's intimidation, that's harassment. And it also has a psychological effect. And as MISA, we have also recently come across, we have also handled a situation whereby exposure of personal data of journalists online, that exposes them to harassment. And people will be calling those reporters or threatening them. If you expose that personal data online, it exposes them to personal attacks. So that's also a form of harassment, online harassment. Even they can even go to the places where they live and harass them. So it's a very critical issue that as media during elections, like she said, this violence, sometimes you have also to be careful. It might be not violence against journalists, but violence between the two parties that are contesting. It might be caught in the crossfire. So you have also to be aware of what is happening around you.
Thank you, my guests, and you, my viewers. We're going to take another break, after which we'll continue with the conversation. Thank you.
Have you downloaded BW News app? Your one-stop shop for Botswana's leading newspapers. If not, what are you waiting for? Start reading the print editions of Botswana's leading newspapers as they appear in the newspapers on any device. The BW News app features the Midweek Sun, Botswana Guardian, Mehi, and the Monitor, updated in an easy-to-flip-through format once the papers are printed. Our packages include current affairs, which creates seamless access for one organizational setup. You can add up to 100 users at affordable rates. After subscription, you will have access to our PDF archive from the past 1 year. You will also receive notifications on your phone as soon as the newspapers publish. You can open your favorite title and share it in text format, and also change the font size and screen light to your choosing. Too busy to flip through and read? The BW News app will read the article for you, and it can also translate from English to the language you're comfortable with. Get the BW News app from the Google Play Store and the App Store and enter a world of up-to-date news presented as it appears in the physical paper.
Thank you, my guests, and you, my viewers. We are now going into the last leg of the conversation. And my question goes to you, Rory. What would be your advice to media houses on their critical role of voter education?
Yes, my advice would be to provide clear information to the voter, engage the voter, because they always want to be, involved in the process. They always want to be in the know, and also possibly just collaborate with other media houses in order to, educate the voter on the electoral process.
Tos?
Yes, I would advise them to prepare thoroughly. They should be, what they put out there should be accurate information, so that when people go to vote, they are well informed. And they should also make sure that they interview the candidates, they analyze the policies and manifestos of these parties, so that we know what is going to happen during the elections and what we are voting for.
Well, it's a few months traditionally before we go into the national polls. I know MISA has been running quite a number of workshops and seminars. What is your view about the readiness of the media practitioners?
I think they are ready, because this has been something coming, and it's held. The elections are held every 5 years, so it's something that I think they are prepared to do, to cover the elections, to inform people, to disseminate information. So it's their role, and they should do it very thoroughly.
Thank you. I want to ask you this question, Rory. Who is supposed to be watching people who lead misinformation and disinformation on the social media?
I think we probably need regulatory bodies, to provide, maybe even government, to provide some sort of guidelines for the media. We also need law enforcement. We also just...
Why government?
Why not government? They can provide guidelines, in terms of how the media or the people can behave, in terms of regulating. That's why I was talking about regulatory bodies, maybe. We also, I think, law enforcement. Let me just say, I think it could be a multi-stakeholder thing whereby we are getting different types of stakeholders to be involved in watching out. But law enforcement should also be involved. I know they are. But it's just that there's not enough public.
Are you suggesting that the media is really losing this disinformation, misinformation war?
No, I mean, they need help. We do need help. I mean, we can't always... we do our part in terms of putting out factual and unbiased information, right? But there are other people out there, maybe citizen journalists, who are not. So we do need a regulatory body in terms of providing guidelines. So those might be assisted by other stakeholders, including government and law enforcement.
Your view, Tos?
My personal view is that the advent of internet, expanded the horizon for democracy. And if we regulate the space, they are going to gag people. So what I would suggest is that maybe we need media literacy workshops around, so that we educate people how to engage with the media, how to distinguish between disinformation and misinformation. If we can have those media literacy workshops, people will understand how to engage with the media.
Can you enlighten us further on this? I mean, you had earlier shared the case of the US. Can you bring that up?
Yes, in the US there is Amendment 320, which provides for net neutrality, whereby the internet doesn't have to be regulated, because it's a new technology and it has to be allowed to grow. If you regulate it, you are going to stifle its growth. So in America, they have allowed the internet to, just for people to engage online, people to use the internet so that it grows. Because what happens with new technologies, if you regulate them, you sort of get them to grow. So you allow them to grow until to a certain extent that now you can find ways of regulating if there is need for regulation. So that's what happens in the US.
But I've been following your writing on misinformation and this. You came across as a worried man, especially in the media space. What are your concerns locally?
My concerns is that people are not media literate. Whatever they see online, whatever they see on television or read, they think everything is true. But we need to have people who are more informed, people who read a lot, people who are aware of the environment. so that when they read or they come across any information, they may be able to decipher whether this is fake news or this is authentic news. Fact-checking is very important. This is what we call lateral reading, whereby you read so many sources so that you get to the right information. Otherwise, if you just read one source and you think that's the correct information, you'll be lost. So you need to read as wide as possible so that you understand what's on the ground.
Mm-hmm. By far, what do you think are your concerns? I mean, in line of duty, in the whole space of electoral processes, what have you picked?
I think one of the biggest challenges that we have, or I have experienced especially, is the lack of information, especially from government. It's very difficult to get information from government officials. You kind of have to force your way through it.
So you are saying you want the Freedom of Information Act?
Yes, please. We need that. It's very difficult. And you can imagine having, you want to report in an unbiased manner, but you don't have an important stakeholder commenting on a certain story. So what do you do then? You have to find other ways to then disseminate that information. So that is actually a very big concern of mine. We also do need that Freedom of Information Act, sir.
Unfortunately, time is not on our side. Thank you very much for joining us today in the conversation. Thank you, our viewers. This program will be broadcast on Sunday at 8 p.m. on our YouTube channels and other socials. Thank you very much. Until we meet again next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.